Hey everyone, we are at Buenaventura Golf Course today, playing 18 holes. First drive of the day, a little bit off the toe, so ended up in the left rough. Had a 9-iron in, ended up hitting it to about 8 feet short of the pin, or left of the pin, I should say. Putting has been pretty good lately. I read a little bit of break here, but it ended up just going straight. Quick tap in for par, about 3 feet, and that's in. These next two shots are pretty terrible. I topped this one, top a 3-wood to here, and then continue to top the hybrid. Ended up with 54-degree wedge, about 86 yards. Hit this one pretty good. The result showed. Have about 7 feet here for par. Right to left break, and I read it pretty well, and speed was good, so good up and down. Decided to go driver here because I was not confident in my 3-wood or hybrid. Ended up pull drawing it into those trees and did not have a good shot coming out. Hit a kind of a punch 6-iron, trying to just get it to the left rough over there so I have a good pitch shot, but it ended up rolling into this bunker. You can see the trail, ball trail there. Pretty far bunker shot. Used my 54 again and hit it pretty clean. Just bad kick to the left, but ended up having a good look to try and scramble for par. Have about a 15-footer here. Looks a little bit shorter actually, but I blow this one by probably about 4 feet and rush this putt out of frustration. This hole should have been a pretty scoreable hole, and it lips out. And I got another 3-footer here for double, and that is not a good hole. Alright, big stick is out again, and I was trying to fade it. I did, but I pushed the ball out into the other fairway rough. Decided to lay up with my 9-iron. I think it was a different club, but ended up with this shot in, and the 54 is just a little bit too much for this shot. It ended up going over the green next to the cart path and hit a 60-degree wedge here. Pretty good, a little bit to the right. Should aim more left so to kick off the hill. Had about an 8-footer here to try and save par. I was reading right to left break, and I believe that this one does not go in. Missed it on the low side, so should have played more break, and I tap in for bogey there. Hitting my approach wedge here, I caught this one a little fat. Good thing it went off to the left, kind of in the same spot I was in the last round I played, just short of the green. Decided to use a pitching wedge to try and bump and run this. Hit it a little short, and it got caught up in the rough and just rolled onto the green. Gave me a pretty long look at par. So we have about 18 feet here for par, and I hit this one again firm. Couldn't find the speed on these greens. Another 4-footer back to try and get bogey, and I leave this one out. Didn't see that it was just going straight, so tap in for double. Decided to pull out 3-wood here and hit it super fat and pushed it out to the right. Ended up with a decent shot in with my 54-degree, 73 yards. Hit it just right of the flag, but it was in line with the flag distance-wise, so if I hit it straight on, it would have been pretty good. But have this 25-footer here for birdie, and I was reading left to right break, but it just stays straight. And here we are for a tap-in 3-footer for par. Solid hole, even though I ended up starting out with a pretty bad drive. Here we are on a pretty long par 3. Used hybrid, hit it off the toe again, and kind of hooked it just left of the bunker. Had a decent look for the green here. Used the pitching wedge, tried to bump and run it again. Been hitting these a little bit short. This was my first time trying to use the pitching wedge for these chip shots to try to get more rollout. Ended up having a pretty long putt for par here. Here we are, 21-footer for par. left to right break I was reading, and I think I was nervous because it was also downhill and I leave it short about 2-3 feet, and ended up cleaning this up for the double. Decided to use hybrid on this hole for the tee shot to try to redeem myself, and I hit this one pretty good right off the center. It pops up pretty high, but I did pick it clean. Had this 54 wedge in 96 yards, and I thinned the crap out of it, and it sails over the green, over that mound. And you'll see my ball come in here, use my 60-degree wedge, and pitched it pretty close. Now this is a pretty funny moment here. The group we were playing with, my brother's friend, had a little bit of an anger issue. Our motto of the day was low side is the bad side, so he missed low side and we were teasing him. Decided to throw the putter. And back to me, we have a 4-footer here for par, and pretty confident here, even though I missed a few of these earlier. But right to left break, pretty simple, and in for par. Good up and down. Driver is out again, and I hit it off the toe a little bit, but it ends up being okay, left side rough. And then I just chunk another wedge, and you'll see a few more of these later. Have about another 35-yard shot in, so pulled out the 60, tried to think of the same shot as the last hole, and clipped it pretty clean. Ended up with another decent look at par. Pretty close. 5-footer here for par, and trying to get my confidence back, and I do. So good par. Alright, so fresh 9 holes here, and decided to use the big stick again and absolutely destroy this one down the middle right, and then proceed to chunk an 8-iron out to the right onto a little hill there, and that did not set me up well for an approach shot. Pitching wedge, chunk, and you can see I'm pretty frustrated there.
So bad.
And so we have another 70-yard shot in, 54-degree. Tried to redeem myself from the one I overshot the green last time. Just left of the pin. Have a decent look at par here, 6-footer, and that's where I stuck it. But misread, miss it low, low side, bad side. Motto of the day, and tap in for the bogey. Alright, so pitching wedge, 119 yards. I hit this one fat again, but not as bad as before, and end up short of the green on this little mound here. Decided to use a pitching wedge again to try and roll it out. Definitely not the right club choice for this kind of shot. Probably should have played 54-degree, have it spin to check, but it ends up going left and way past the hole. Have a 20-footer here for par. I think I was reading left to right break here, and it does do that, but I miss it low again. So have a tap in here for the bogey to clean things up. Alright, so next hole, driver again. Hit this one pretty good, a little low on the face, so it actually ends up being lower, so the wind actually doesn't hurt it as much. Pretty good shot on the side of the hill here. Hit a 6-iron. This wind was a 2-club wind, so I probably should have went for a 5-iron. Ended up on the green, but a really far putt for the birdie. You can see I'm aiming way right, or in my point of view, way left to try to play over the hill, but the line it starts out on was lower than I thought it was going to come out. End up having a pretty decent putt for par, and I unfortunately do not convert this, and just miss it a little low again, low side, so misreading on a lot of these putts. Had to use driver here, another into the wind hole. Hit this one really well, just a little bit out to the right, but I'm still in the fairway and have another 160-yard shot in. I did not learn from the last hole. I should have went 1 club more, but I thought the wind died down a little bit, and I hit this one really well, but it just ends up in the bunker and just in the worst possible position. It's plugged, and uses a 60-degree to try and just get this ball out. End up getting it out. You know, not the best result, but considering the lie I had, that's all I could work with. So here we are using pitching wedge again to try and do a bump and run, but I put too much spin on it, and it checks up on the top of the hill where I wanted it to roll out. And then I have a pretty far putt to try to save bogey, and that does not convert, so that bunker shot really screwed things up for me. And instead of a bogey, I ended up with a double. So hitting pitching wedge here, hit it pretty good, but I don't know what happened. I think it just ended up short, but I clipped it well. Maybe wrong yardage. I think the cold weather had something to do with ball flight. So I decided to use the 54 this time for this pitch shot, and then it just checks up way too early. I probably should have hit it, tried to land it where it stopped, and end up with a 12-footer for par here. But surprisingly enough, this one I read correctly and it goes in. So pretty happy with that result. Decided to use driver here again. Been hitting it pretty well. Hit this one pretty well. End up with about 96 yards into the hole. Decided to use my approach wedge. Hit it a little bit softer and hit it pretty good. Right at the flag. End up with about a 10-footer for birdie. So I have a pretty good look here for birdie. Reading this one a little bit right to left, I think I was reading about a cup. Ends up being a little bit more than a cup, about a cup and a half. Miss it low side once again, and just had to clean this one up for par. Decided to use driver here, hit it a little bit off the toe, ended up with a pretty hard draw, but I actually had a decent shot towards the green, probably a better angle than if I were actually in the fairway. Use a 9-iron here. Probably should have clubbed up to an 8-iron because of the cold weather, and end up short of the green, but I hit it pretty good. So I decided to try to use a 60 to try to pitch it up, and end up not hitting it firm enough. So I'm short. I'm pretty frustrated there, so decided to use a 60 degree again, a little bit shorter, but same shot. Hit this one pretty good. Just rolls by the ball and next to the hole. And I have about a 7-footer here to try and save bogey. I had the read correct, and if I had one more rotation, would have had the speed correct, but ended up with a double there. So shorter par 3, used the pitching wedge again, decided to kind of swing easier considering the weather conditions. Ended up hitting a pretty good shot, clipped it clean, just got a bad kick off the mound. You can't really see it, it's off to the right, and have a 20-footer for birdie look. Misread it, miss it on the low side. I thought it was straight, but it was about a 2-hole break to the right. So final hole, par 5, hit a driver. The shot trail doesn't give it justice. I actually pushed this one further right than it actually looks, but I think I got a good kick off a tree and ended up with this shot. Decided to club up here. This is typically an 8-iron distance, but decided to hit 7-iron because of the cold weather. It was affecting the ball flight by about a club. So hit a 7-iron, pretty close. Ended up with a 6-footer to get this eagle, but unfortunately I misread and miss on the low side. I thought it was straight, but a little break towards the end. But end up with a tap-in birdie, so I'm not going to be too worried. So here is the final round recap. I was 12 over for a final score of 82. The course is a par 70, so it's pretty short. Had 5 fairways in regulation, 6 greens in regulation, 35 putts, and 3 3-putts. If I get rid of those 3 3-putts, that would improve my score by 3, and I would be in the 70s. I also need to get those fairway and green percentages up. As you can see, the PGA averages around 60 and 66% for the fairways and greens. If I can get those up, my score should improve, but most importantly, my proximity to the hole on my approach shots need to improve as well. Overall, it was a pretty good round. I'm happy with the result. I have some things I need to work on. I just had a lesson recently, so I need to go to the range and work those things out. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.